Welcome to the Baka Gaijin Show! The Baka Gaijin Show is a one-man mini-podcast done by myself, Zeke Freek, and is also by and large a series of opinion pieces. The views expressed are indicative of no one other than myself. All rants are unscripted, so I may say stupid shit I'll regret later. Thank you for your continued understanding.
Welcome to the Baka Gaijin Show, special Vita has games, shut the fuck up edition. You know, it's damn near 2015, and I still see comments on every goddamn gaming site saying that the PS Vita has no games, or that it's dead, or what the fuck ever. And while I could do what people normally do in this situation, which is either shrug and ignore it, or list off all the games that they have, I feel doing so at this point in time would be kind of a disservice. The fact of the matter is that the Vita has so many games that I don't need to list them off. You can look them up yourself. But no, that's not good enough, because people don't want to do the research, and they don't want to believe things that they've already convinced themselves and spammed everywhere to be true. So what is with this? Why do people keep spamming this obnoxious lie? Well, I think the main reason is because at least initially, was because people were abrasive towards the system, mainly because it was expensive. And I won't deny, it was expensive. It launched at $250, or $300 if you got the stupid 3G model, though I have no idea why you would. But if you did, then yeah. It was $250, plus I think at least $16 for the lowest memory card you could get, and upwards of, I believe, $80 for the most expensive one, if I'm remembering correctly. The prices have shifted a bit. So it was no wonder that people were angry because it was so expensive. And at the time, I'd often defend Sony by going, well, Sony has often done this. They've often created high-end products for high-end prices. These are the most amazing... This is probably the most powerful processing you're going to get on a handheld system that isn't like a Razer tablet or something. So, like an actual portable system, this is the most powerful that's ever come out. So, of course, it's going to come with a premium price. That was my rebuttal at the time, and to be honest, I think that the phenomenon of people bitching about console prices is kind of ridiculous considering how much mileage people get out of these things. Like seriously, I bought a launch day PS3 for over $600 when it came out in 2006, and if you had told me that since then I would have gotten tens of thousands of hours enjoying the thing, I would have thought it was a steal. See, for some reason, people don't think of game consoles as investments, when that's what they really are. You know, they're expensive, and they're meant to be expensive. It's kind of like buying a dishwasher, or, you know, a microwave or something. Like, well, microwaves are cheap, but you know what I mean. It's an actual investment of a device that you're going to use for years, you know? And this happens every single time a console is announced. No matter what it is, people are going to bitch about the price. People are going to bitch about the price unless it happens to be the cheapest one on the market in the same comparative field. Then apparently it's okay. People don't seem to understand this idea that it is not only a luxury item, but it is something that ideally you're going to be using for years and years, especially as console cycles grow longer and longer. You know, if you bought a PS4 right now, you could be using that PS4 for the next, conceivably, almost the next decade, almost. And even beyond that, if, you know, you want to collect for it and keep playing on it, like, and I don't understand this, and I also don't understand this mentality of people ditching consoles as soon as the next one comes out. Like, yeah, the PS4 is out, and I want one, but I'm not going to throw away my PS3 the same way I didn't throw away my PS2 when the PS3 came out. Although by sheer coincidence I don't have many of my games left from that era, but still, what can you do? Life happens. Maybe it's just casuals complaining about this, like they're so strapped for free cash that they have to keep trading up, as it were. But I'm just getting sick of people bitching about it. I think that's part of the phenomenon as to why people say Vita doesn't have any games, even to this day, when it clearly does. Now, saying Vita is dead is a different thing entirely, as... yeah, from all conceivable angles, the Vita is kind of a financial flop. I wouldn't call it a total failure, because I don't think they're just going to abandon it, because developers love the thing, but I think, yes, in financially speaking, it is kind of a flop. But it's also a flop that's strangely not going to go away, because there's still interest in making games for it. And I think it's going to be its own little niche audience thing. And I think that was, in some respects, I think that was Sony's plan all along. I think they planned for this. I don't think they ever planned for the Vita to compete with the 3DS, or, as some people like to claim, compete with the mobile market, which I keep telling people over and over again. Those are two completely separate markets for two completely different kinds of consumers. And I think they were prepared for the Vita to be a small niche community of niche gamers, essentially, which could be why so many of the games that are great on Vita and that are available for Vita are Japanese games, which is also why a lot of people say Vita does not have games, because... where was I? Alright, some people might not like Japanese games or whatever. Well, they're wrong! But no, seriously, if you don't like Japanese games, that's perfectly fine, I guess. I guess I can accept you as a human being. But that doesn't mean that you can go around saying that Vita does not have games. Sure, it may not have games that interest you, per se, but that doesn't mean it has nothing. It has something for somebody. And maybe that's the Vita's curse. Cursed to be a niche system for us niche Japanese gamers people who play niche Japanese games who may or may not be Japanese in origin. I can see how that can be misinterpreted. Maybe that's its curse. Maybe people will never grow to accept the fact that Vita has games. I hope it's not the case, but it's starting to look like it. And that's basically what it's become, it's kind of a niche platform for Japanese games and indie games. That's essentially what it is, and you know what? I'm perfectly fine with that, because those are the two types of games I usually play the most. And for other types of games, I have PC and consoles, so it's kind of nice to have a device that does something specific like that isn't trying to be all-inclusive, that isn't trying too hard to have a bit of everything, but instead is more focused in one particular area, one or two particular areas. Does anyone else think that's kinda cool? And to be honest, having a Vita is kinda cool, because you're like in this exclusive club of like what are we at, like 5 or 6 million people that actually own one? It's like a club. I mean, it makes Nier pretty much fucking useless, but, you know, when you're online and stuff, it's pretty cool. For example, I think almost everyone I know on the NISA forums owns a Vita and is pretty active with it. And in fact, devs have said that Vita owners are, in their own words, fucking awesome, because there's a high attach rate for Vita users. Can't fucking talk today. For Vita users to buy more games than the average console consumer. Now, whether that's due to just a lower pool of people to survey, or whether that's an actual statistic, I'm not quite sure, but given what I've read, I'm leaning towards the latter. There's just a higher attach rate per game on the Vita as a platform. And again, that's kinda cool. So my question is, does the Vita really need to compete with the 3DS in the mobile market? The mobile market? Pfft, as if that's a thing to compete with. But does it really need to? Can the Vita not just exist in its own little minuscule ecosystem of these specific kinds of games with these specific kinds of gamers? Does it really need wide mass appeal? Honestly, I don't think so, as long as there are devs willing to make games for it. And so far, they still are. The thing is, when a big company like Sony puts out a console, people aren't just going to ignore it, is the thing. Whether people like it or not, the Vita is the successor to the PSP. It might not reach the PSP's numbers, but all the developers who are making games for the PSP are now turning their heads to the Vita if they haven't already. And that's a good thing. And just for the record, I currently own 30 or so physical Vita games and about a dozen downloadable ones. And that's not even all there is. There's tons that I wish I could have. That's maybe a third of everything I want that's currently available for the Vita. I mean, it's all the major stuff, but it's maybe a third of what I actually want. Of course, you know, I'm kind of an anomaly in that I'm a very open-minded person and a very open-minded gamer who literally plays almost everything. So, you know, and maybe the Vita is just for more open-minded gamers in general, you know? But still, when I play my Vita, I love the experience of playing on my Vita. And I think I'm going to continue loving that experience as more and more games come out for it that are admittedly more directed towards me and people like me. You know, I don't know. And that's the thing, is that I don't know a lot of people who own a Vita who are dissatisfied with it, especially if they're hardcore users who are always, paying attention and on the lookout for the latest games coming out for the system. And the thing is, with a lower release rate, Vita gamers can, in some cases, afford to buy most things that come out, which may explain why the attach rate is so high. So yeah, this is going to be a bit of a shorter episode, but I just wanted to rant about people complaining about Vita not having games when it clearly fucking does, and just talk about the Vita in general. Mainly because I couldn't think of any other topics offhand, and I was really stretching to think of something for this episode. Anyway, that's it for this episode, and I want to let you guys know you can check out the next Otaku Midnight tomorrow night, Thursday on Cupid the Third's channel. It was supposed to be yesterday, but it got canceled for stupid reasons. So yeah, check that out. Have a happy Halloween, everyone. Zeke Freak out. Ciao ciao for now.